Yeah.
Are we being videoed or just voiced?
Oh, you're on video, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I don't know what this means. You're the man to ask.
I don't know.
Oh, there we go. I think we're good.
I have no clue what that
Mate,
is.
the technology, I love doing my podcast in here. The technology is the only thing that freaks me out.
Same.
Yeah. But Max was
Same
like,
here.
Alex, all you got to do is press that button and press that button.
Do you know what it was? We set this up for audio only, and then somebody said, wouldn't it be great if you could add video and you could splice things and have different camera angles? And we were like, yeah, it'd be really good.
Get close to that mic, Nigel.
And then it became a little bit more complex for us.
I've got to admit the video is good though. Because
Yeah.
on Spotify now, and YouTube, people watch things now.
Yeah. But we've got a new technology we're gonna have a trial of in the new year called
I heard about
Riverside, and it's going to be like one button press, and it's going to be.
So it's unfuckable, babe. Even an idiot like me can't get it wrong.
Well, I'm not saying that. But
I know what you're saying.
You're
I
a
get
big
it.
guy. I'm
Alex,
not
all you got to
saying
do now, instead of 2 buttons, you just got to press 1.
that.
Is this specifically for me you built this new piece of kit? But
There's all this stuff about upload speeds and how long it took you to upload a file and all that. So it started to get. I think what happened in March, I had a week off and we were all over the place.
Yeah, I know.
Single point of failure called Marcher.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem when you get all this fancy kit. But it's good. I love
Yeah.
it. It sounds good. But yeah, thanks
Good.
for coming in.
Oh no, it's a pleasure.
You're the boss, so it's good to speak to you. The boss is here. When was the last time you had a boss?
2000.
22 years ago.
22 years.
I bet you don't miss.
I don't miss that at all.
No.
I really don't. I mean, I don't miss it because I actually, my boss was a good guy. But the reason I left IBM, and I left because the boss, who ran the whole division, threw me under the bus in front of a customer one day, basically blamed me for a contract that had been signed before Christmas, thought I'd strong-armed the customer not trying to get out of it. And I was cannon fodder in this meeting. I was like, I'm not doing this again. I was 6 weeks later, I'd left.
Yeah, I get that. So what happened yesterday in my business, that there was a mistake. But the best thing about being self-employed is like it comes back to me all the time. Do you know what I mean? I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, you know what it's like. You're a firefighter here, right? Things go wrong, you have to fix them.
Yeah.
Probably what you spend most of your time doing, I guess.
Yeah, there's a bit of that,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Well, it's complex here, isn't it, Mill Street? There's lots of things that can go wrong.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, there's shit going on all the time.
Yeah.
It's mental. That's what I thought. I bet Nigel just spends his day just putting out fires.
To be honest, the team here are great.
Yeah.
You know, you got Cat March, a gem. You've got obviously Lewis, the coffee house and the bar and the events, and then you've got Angie does the finance and a lot of the things to do with administration. So
The important shit.
Got a team.
Yeah, that's fine. That's another
It's all
thing.
about culture.
Yeah.
You know, if you can get on with that team, you can be transparent, pretty straightforward with each other, good and bad, you know, bit of resilience about them, then you're all good.
Sure. What was the worst thing that you found in having a boss? Like when you were in the corporate world, the IBM world, like what kind of took you out of that and led you down the line to think I'm gonna do this myself?
Trust.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't like the politics. I didn't like all the, you got to be seen at the right golf day and all this, because I was like, yeah, but you can just see I'm performing, I'm good at what I do. So, you know, what's the golf day got to do with it? I didn't like all the politics because IBM was a schmoozy place. I loved IBM, but it was a schmoozy place at times. You know, you got to be seen in the right way. So that was the one. But probably more than that was just the trust thing of, like I say, this chap who I won't name him, but he brought me along to this meeting. I didn't really know what it was about. I knew the IT director of this large insurance business was coming along, and I got thrown under the bus, and it was just quite ridiculous. Trust for me was a big thing. You know, trust is about your capability, but more about your character. And if you can't trust somebody's character, you know, and they're in your business, then, I was in their business. It's no good for me. So those two things, they were bubbling up anyway.
What caused you more stress, the corporate world or having your own business?
Oh, having my own business. I mean, you can put a corporate world in a bag at the weekend and forget about it. You never do that with your own business. You never, even if you're walking the dog, having a shower, going for a run, whatever it is, it's still in your mind. And every bit of it's in your mind, you know. And it does cause stress at times. Of course. You know, you can relate to this, Alex, but I wouldn't change it for the world either, because I like the high wire act. I like it. You know, I like the fact that you're on a high wire and it's down to you. And if you fail, it's you. And if you succeed, and I don't mean just you, because I really believe in a team thing. I'm not just saying it. For me, you know, when you really get some joy, or you're in moments where you think, oh my God, shit, we're back, you know, backs against the wall. you see teams come through, and it's just flipping fantastic to see that, you know.
Yeah, I used to think that people could switch off from the corporate world, but I think I see a lot of people now, they take their jobs with them full time anyway, so they're working for somebody else, and they're working late nights, and they're working weekends, without any of the benefits of working for yourself. I can justify working really hard for my own thing.
Yeah,
I find it hard to ever relate to, well, why would I do that for a corporate agenda? One, like you say, that I probably don't actually value that much anyway.
Yeah. I can't say it's my experience of the corporate world. It was stressful at times, but my experience of the corporate world was, it was really stressful. There was a lot of pressure on me. And then come Friday, I could put it away. No problem. I'd pick it up again Monday, and I wouldn't be worrying about it that much.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say you were a normal person. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having your own business of this magnitude. No, you're not. You're in the vast minority of people. I think thick skin, resilience, the ability to handle stress comes down to a big role of handling a business, especially one that's this lively. Like mine's easy and really small in comparison. This I can imagine just being full time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for us, Alex, was when we spent a lot of money building it with no compromises on how we built it. We were like really going to build the best thing we could. So whether it was the podcast studio or whether it's the offices, we really went for it, and then opened it 2 years ago, and we got loads of members sign up, and then 3 days later the government put us in lockdown, and I thought, oh my God, we've got a big white elephant where nobody will want to share anything ever again. And we're in this shared workspace. We did have some moments, Kat, myself, me, Desi, the team, we were scratching our head and panicking a wee bit. Yeah. But, it was the best. Often in those moments are little seeds of something. If you can get your head around it, it is about how you get your head around it. But that was a moment where we said, members are going to want to, some members are going to say, no, I can't come back here. Can I suspend my membership? So half of them did, more than half. But then the other half said, you've got to make a place safe for us because we've got nowhere else to work. And looking back now, not at the time, but looking back now, that was a great thing because we formed brilliant relationships and got all the sort of things out of the way. Yeah, that were broken, and obviously broken when we opened up.
Yeah, there's no tougher start than that. So I guess once you survive that, then you thrive and you plough on. Most businesses would have shut, and therefore when it's time to reopen, perhaps for the world to reopen, if you don't exist, you're not here. So again, it's that cliche of like you stick through the tough times, you don't quit, you don't. No. Do you know what I mean? I did the opposite. I sold my gym at the start of lockdown. It was a great opportunity for me to get out of that industry. Not that I didn't like it anymore. I love the fitness industry. I still do. But life's quite short, so I wanted to taste different things. Yeah. I was saying to the guy before, Nigel, I said, I love setting up a business more than I do running it. Yeah. Setting up a business is fun, it's the thrill, it's the chase, you've got deadlines. Yeah. And then sometimes there's the reality of, oh shit, I've got to run this monster now.
Well, but somebody like you, that's the pure entrepreneur in you. I mean, I think that's the thrill of the whole thing. And good people look at it and they're self-aware, like you clearly are, to say, this bit I think I'm good at. I'm good at the hustle. I'm good at the adrenaline piece of the whole thing of there's an opportunity here. But then they can get good people in to do the running of a business. It does become, some things, elements of business become reasonably mundane and operating. And some people are far more skilled than perhaps you or I at saying, I can run the day-to-day really well here. And it's just acknowledging it, Alex. Sometimes some people aren't able to do that.
Yeah, I never got the staff thing right. At one time I had 10 staff working for me, but I was 27, 28, too young. Yeah, well done. It now, I would have been in with a shout. Yeah, but I fucked that up royally. Yeah. That really didn't. This is what I mean. I've kind of never been able to grow a business to a big level because of I don't know whether it's a maturity or a skill set, or just not being able to hire the right team. Perhaps it's that kind of thing. But I knew from a young age that I didn't want a boss. Yeah. So I worked at Tesco for 5 years, which I strangely enjoyed and hated at the same time. At least at Tesco I had the freedom to move around. Then I got what I thought was a promotion to AXA Insurance. So I got an extra $4,000 and I got to wear a suit and tie. And I was like, me wear a suit and tie? I never thought I'd ever wear a suit and tie. And after 10 days, I just wanted to kill myself. Fucking hated it. Seriously. I didn't even have my notice in, Nigel. I just got up and went to the boss. I said, I can't fucking do this. I'd rather die. Yeah, and then I set up my own business. That's how it works. I think you just know from a young age, don't you?
I do remember when I was when I'd graduated, I went off to a set of interviews in Liverpool for an insurance company, And you go through all these tests. They were doing all sorts of different IQ and EQ type bloody tests, and all through the day. And they were getting more and more excited about the results of these tests. And the more and more the day went on, the more I hated the day. And I thought, I can't see my life up here. It was just, my spirit was going. And so at the end of the day, they said, congratulations, you three have made the shortlist. And I said, I'm afraid I'm going to have to turn this down, and walked out, got in the lift. And this guy got in the lift with me all the way down. You're giving up this great opportunity to be a developer. And it was a development job, or God knows why I went for it.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was being the most dispiriting thing in the world. I couldn't do that sort of stuff. I can't be tethered.
Is this hardwired in you then? Like from a young age, were you always destined to be where you are now, to do your own thing?
Well, my dad was a steel erector, and then he first and foremost he was an engineer, and then he was a steel erector, and then he set up in insurance, was just particularly good at insurance, and then set himself up on his own as an insurance broker. And I saw this journey with admiration, and saw, he was a real entrepreneurial spirit, and and I thought, I want that. I want the ability to decide when you start work, end work, how hard you work, and the reward you get for it.
Yeah, I remember, like I said, being at Tesco, and I'm saying, Alex, we want you to, obviously you have to jump on the tills when we say, but at AXA, you had to clock out for a piss and clock back in. And that was the moment
there
when
was something similar, yeah.
Honestly, because it was all, you were dealing with complaints on the computer. You had to show where you were. And I thought, do you know what? I'm having to let someone know I'm going for a shit. So I thought, I ain't doing this. I can't do this.
It's like being sort of, I don't know, in some sort of hell, isn't it, really? Dystopian hell.
Yeah, and it's not to degrade the people, because again, everyone has different values.
Yeah,
of course.
We've got to.
Yeah, and we need we need people that are open and willing to do some of the jobs that I wouldn't want to do. That's how the world works. But I think from a young age, there's a certain minority of men that probably just have bigger ambitions, especially in the business world. And it's nice to have a bit of a challenge, a bit of an aim or a project, something to do with your life, really.
Get something that gets the heart beating and think, God, imagine, like we used to call them big, hairy, achievable goals. Imagine if we could do that in a year. And imagine if we could do that in 3 years. And it would only work if people would say, there's no chance of that. Right, let's do it then. They're the things that get everybody at it. And I always firmly believed, because I had a software company before this that was a lot bigger than this. And for me, it was all about making sure the team really bought into the thing. They didn't feel like employees. They felt like they owned it, and giving them a share of the spoils and making them feel like we're in this together. I think that's when you get the absolute best out of people, where they don't feel like they're a battery hen.
So that was Rant and Rave.
Rant and Rave. Yeah.
I mean, that was some serious cheese you got for that, right? If the reliable Google's right, I won't say it out loud, but it's a few quid.
Yeah.
It'd do for me.
Yeah.
So when you've got that amount of cash then, because when it says you sold the business for that amount, I'm like, well, did you get that amount, or did you get a proportion? Whatever, it's big money. Do you sit back there and go, I'm going to wait for something to inspire me to do what to do next, or did you straight away know where your heart was and what you wanted to do?
It's the weirdest thing, because I think for a good couple of weeks there, it was numb, and somebody said to me, a good friend of mine said to me, well, all you've done is you had an asset and you've moved it from a different asset class, so don't get too carried away, and I wasn't getting carried away anyways, but I think that the same person, Simon, who was the chairman at Rant and Rave, he's a great friend, but he was an advisor, and he said, make sure that you don't just sort of end up walking a golf course. He said, you're not that person. You need some of the bits and pieces. So I'd already got half a plan on Make Good Grow, the ability to put a marketplace together where people with skills could pledge their services and their products for good causes. That was always a thing in my head, even before we sold the business. So I moved straight into that. And then we found this building, and it was Mill Street as well. So I always thought, no, I'm not going to, but I wanted to go into semi-retirement where I'm not in it every day. And I think I've managed to do that. I'm not in it every day, but I like to work on it. I like on things and working with teams. And I get a buzz out of working with people with passion, to be fair.
Well, you can tell you still got bags of energy. So you ain't sitting at home watching Netflix. I know that for a fact. So I don't even know if you have a choice on that. Like, it's not you, right? I can tell the first time I've met you properly, I can tell straight away you ain't sitting at home doing that.
No,
so it's like you've got to do something.
Double-edged sword though, Alex, because I think sometimes you're like in...
Yeah.
calm down, relax a little bit.
I'm always in this forever fight of like, you know,
Yeah.
is life about striving or is it about being in the present, appreciating what you've got, all about relationships? I'm like, I still got no idea what determines a good life.
I'm the same, if I'm honest, and I read all the books going, every single, honestly, you know, stacked up, thinking I'm going to get something that's just going to be the magical sentence, ingredient, resource to, yeah, that's what I'm going to chow down on.
Well, I made a bit of a promise to myself not to read as much next year because I'm like exactly like that. I'm like, tell me what a happy life is, please, because then I can just follow that path.
Yeah.
And then I can stop striving and put myself through all this stress of fucking chasing something and growing as a man and being better. And I'm like, do I even want to be better anymore? Or do I just want to just be like, actually, I'm all right as I am?
Do you know what the one thing I have just read a book called Stop Worrying, Start Living.
Yeah, I know that.
And I
one.
bet you've heard of it.
Yeah, I know it. I can't think who the author is.
So I think the author is the same author of, it's going to come to me, but I should know.
I've read that. I've got fucking hundreds at home.
Yeah.
I feel like a self-development library.
Yeah, same. And the one thing, there's a bunch of sort of anecdotal things. One thing in there, it said, put the day in an airtight compartment. You can't do much about tomorrow other than learn from it and put a plan together. And there's no point in worrying about the future. Put today in an airtight compartment. And if you've got a plan for the future, that's fantastic. But it's in your plan. You then draw it back to, and what gets done today? And you only think and worry and challenge yourself and enjoy what goes on today. And I've applied some of this. That's quite nice because so many people with anxiety and depression are choked by the past or worried about the future. And I know it's easy to say, but somehow if you've got a plan and you've worked on your failures or the challenges that have come up in the past and you've got a little plan, you box it down to the day and get on with the day and be present with people, you know, enjoy the moment like I'm enjoying this. There's something to be said for that for me.
Definitely, and you're right. Like when I'm podcasting, I don't like to use the word happy because I don't really know how to define that. But I'm cool, you know. I'm all right,
Yeah.
and it's a conversation, one to one. It's, you know, in here. So I'm like, there's clues there for what turns you on,
Yeah.
and what doesn't. But again, this whole like thinking, like how far should you think ahead? Because for some people, they really thrive when they have a big, scary goal, like you've just said, that might be 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
For me, I can't even think that far ahead, let alone see or understand it. So I have to shrink it back to the day. And I'm very good on a day-to-day basis, but then I think sometimes I'm not very good at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Because my day-to-day should maybe be contributing towards something better.
Well, there's an answer to that, Alex.
Oof, this is education.
Seriously.
Now, go on.
So,
Thought these self-help books.
So this is going to get boring for anybody who's spoken to me before but I talk about entrepreneur operating system, right? And it works for the personal world as well as the entrepreneur world. But the reason I adopted it is 3 years before I sold the business, I'd hit this ceiling of complexity where the walls were closing in on me every day. And I came across a book called Traction, and I ended up by a guy called Gino Wickman, and I started reading. It was all about the entrepreneur operating system. And that's what's your big, hairy 10 years, like really dream big. And then decide, how does that work in 3 years' time? What awards do you win? What recognition do you get? What size business have you got? How many employees? You try and taste it, eat it, write it down. And as much as you don't like that, then pull it back to a year. Okay, if that were 3 years, pull it back to a year. If that's a year, pull it back to what have we got to get done this quarter? All the way back down to what does a good week look like? And is it in conjunction? It doesn't have to be like always pointing in the right direction, but knowing, you know, that's North Star. That's where the North Star is. Are we moving roughly in the right direction? I think for somebody like you is a great thing at a personal level as well. I do it. I mean, I'm a geek.
Yeah,
right?
it makes sense.
But I like, if I had a good week, yeah, well, that went wrong and that was a balls up. But you know what? Yeah, you know, from a life point of view.
The challenge I'd have there is if you don't know what your North Star is.
You've got to sit down and figure it though, mate.
And also be accepting that you might not get it right, I think. I'll tell you one thing that's really helped me, Nigel, is I'm more clear now on the kind of person I want to be versus what I want.
Nice.
So some of my goals now are like, well, I know I want to be a disciplined man. I know I want to be kind. And I'm not always those things. So I'm like, well, what can I do to encourage me to be more kind?
Yeah.
And this often pushes me down charitable causes, which I love doing.
Yeah.
I love doing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, again, there's clues there, and it makes me feel like a good person I can contribute in.
Well, I think you're bang on there. I saw there's a life wheel, right? When people say, oh, these billionaires, they're not happy. Well, there's a bunch of billionaires that are really happy. But measuring somebody's success just financially is it's not the right way, because we all have our life wheel. We all measure our life and happiness by our health, our relationships, how we feel mentally, our career options, whether we've got a great partner, all of these things. And so sometimes people's life is out of kilter. Like, they might have a load of money, but they might have some serious health concerns in the family, or they might have some relationship breakdowns, or they might have a stutter in their career. So this life wheel thing is, if you want to be a great dad or a great partner, or somebody that has more compassion in their life when they're dealing with people, or knowing that they get a bit of a helper's high and they love doing their bit, figuring that bit out and then really being intentional, I think, is the way forward. And so many people are single-minded about just their career or their wealth, and not about, what does it take to be on this planet the right way. And I think it feels like you're in process of figuring it out.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, that's what the Better Man's all about. Yes, we want to achieve, and yes, but a lot of the guys in that group, myself included, we just wanted to kind of look in the mirror and be okay with what we're doing, how we're showing up. Because I think a lot of guys get to the stage where they're not. They look at themselves and they're not happy with how they're treating their closest. They're not happy with the shape they're in, which is a sign of, maybe they're not looking after themselves. Yeah. All of these things, we just see the ugly stuff in you more than the good.
Yeah, the gap and the gain, right? Yeah. We always look at the gap.
Of course, man. And it's like, well, a lot of the guys now are focusing on, okay, I want to become a better person in this area. This goal that I'm on is the vehicle to help me become that person.
Yeah.
It's why I love health and fitness. I was saying to Joe, who's in before you, who's a professional fighter, if you get yourself into tip-top shape, even if it's just for once in your life, you have to be disciplined, committed, hard-working. You have to show up all the time. You have to eat the right things. Yeah. You have to be resilient. Yeah. And I'm like, they're all the qualities that most men are lacking these days. Yeah. So I'm like, that's a great way to improve your character, not just the visual. That's cool, but it's about who you become on that journey, isn't it?
It really is. An exercise also is a super drug for the mind, isn't it?
Mate, it's been therapy for me. Oh my God, I don't know what I'd done without it.
Yeah.
When I'm angry or when I'm feeling real fucked up, there's no medication like a good sweaty gym session.
That's it. I agree with you.
Serious. I work so hard in there, man. It's like, it's just better than therapy. In fact. I've had a lot of fucking therapy. The gym's always wins. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's going for a run. I shouldn't say run, jog. Yeah. It's a slow jog, but it just is great for me. I put the headphones on, play some good music that I like, and just go to a different place.
Well, you can't say the word good music without telling me what that is.
It's a whole eclectic mix. It really is just a complete mix of stuff. Sometimes it's piano music, it's Queen banging it out, it's will.i.am with stuff, it's the Commodores. It's just a bit of anything that takes my fancy.
Yeah, I'm like that. Yeah, you hit shuffle on my Spotify, it's crazy. Yeah. From shouting and screaming to... Yeah, it's weird about you say about piano. I've been getting into that.
Oh, it's
especially
very
when
meditative.
I'm reading. Yeah, doing some of my best work with a bit of piano music on in the background.
Yeah, well, it's my son that got me into it. He was... I think in America, and he said the only way I can concentrate is I've got a background of piano music. I thought that's strange, and then started playing around with it, and it is just strangely takes you, I don't know, level of focus.
Yeah, there's some brilliant playlists on Spotify. They have the right beats and the right atmosphere about them, and they help you what I would call, because I like to work in these deep focus blocks. I don't know if you and like it's 15 minutes, and I try. It's hard, and it sounds like no phone, no emails, no you're focusing on this one thing only. Yeah, man, you're amazed what you can get done in 15 minutes if you concentrate. Yeah, how many people can concentrate now?
Oh, we've all got attention deficit disorder.
Sure,
to a degree.
Yeah,
we all have.
That's what I was going to speak to you about. Like, is that important for you as a businessman? And if so, how does it link with like having an open office plan upstairs for you? Like, what are your real values and beliefs behind good solid work, and then mixing that in with being open, friendly, and in a community where it's busy and distracting?
Well, I think earphones...
I see you smiling as well.
No, I relate to it. I mean, earphones are a great thing, right? I was just thinking back to my days when I was studying. Desi will tell you, I used to hear the dog chewing on a bone downstairs. Can you stop the dog with that chewing that bone? And she couldn't believe that I could actually hear it. I needed real quiet. But I think here... What's happened here is that people have come and said, well, I don't really have a lot to do with other people, but I'm more productive because I can see other human beings working. And if I put my earphones on, it's a signal to everybody I need to get my head down. And I think that's sort of the unspoken word here, is that if you've got your headphones on, then you're not to be disturbed. But equally, we do all disturb each other
Sure.
all of the time. And I'm probably the worst for it, because I'll walk upstairs, and it'll be, if I catch anybody's eyes, how you doing? And I bet they're thinking, oh, fuck, and just look at, but...
it's probably the reason why they come too.
Collaboration's a big thing, right? Kinship's another thing. And then, deep focus, I think, gets done in different ways. So the Days girls, the ladies that run the Days out, which is going to be phenomenal, you see them and they put their headphones on because they're very social. They'll talk to but when they got their headphones on, deep work's taking place, and they're really, they're in it. They've got a side hustle, they've got a day job, they've got families. I'm full of admiration for an awful lot of the members up there, what they're getting done.
Sure. That's why I developed or tried to learn the art of deep work, because I split my life into two processes, really, or two values. I don't know whether you think about this, but this word balance has always been a weird thing for me, because I'm like, well, you want to create a massive business? Does balance really exist in that world? Maybe, maybe not. But I thought, right, my life comes in personal values, business values. So my personal values are now my family more than ever, my mum and dad, because they're 70 next year. And I'm like, I've got my health and fitness, which is absolute key to me. I've got spending time with my friends, traveling, reading and writing. So what I did is I plot those in my schedule. So that I make sure that those things that are really valuable to me happen.
Yeah.
And then I try and build my business around that.
Yeah.
So I kind of know that I'm not going to grow this monster of a business because these other things come first. So I only have X amount of hours left in my business. So when I'm in my business, I've got to be fucking efficient. So I'm the guy with the earphones in all the time. Yeah. Don't speak to me.
Yeah.
Leave me, which is probably why no one spoke to me upstairs.
Yeah.
But that's how I like to get shit done, because I'm like, time's precious. And if I'm working, I'm working. If I'm playing, I'm playing. And I like that. That suits me well. Yeah. But again, it depends what you value, doesn't it?
Well, I think the idea of being intentional in your own schedule about the time that you're going to work on personal things is really important. We had a workshop here last week, and it was about how productivity creates happiness. And I went along to it because I was just curious about how does productivity and happiness come together. And the net of it was, being intentional about all things in your life, the whole wheel, so the personal side, the professional side, and planning it in deliberately in your schedule, and just not compromising with it. So I love what you've just said. The only thing I would take issue with is you still grow a big business. Definitely. You can. It just makes you absolutely more focused, like you say, more laser focused on the thing.
Is that how you work then? Do you have like intentional days, or do you go with the flow of the day?
No, I'm very planned.
You're very planned?
Oh yeah. I work on an app called Todoist, and
that's wicked, isn't it?
I have recurring stuff in there that's quite embarrassing, like remember to do the following things. And
I'm the same, so ain't it? Yeah. I mean, you've even turned up with a notepad, so I know you're a professional. Weekly
things, and then things that occur to me if I'm just walking in the street. Oh, got a phone so-and-so. And I love that because it actually de-stresses me, because I think if it gets done in Todoist, happy days, I've done well.
Well, have you got a chaotic mind like I have? Like, I love chaos, and I work really well in chaos, but it's not always productive.
Well, it's the C word, right? It could be chaotic, but it's creative as well. I think creative
Sometimes.
People, are a little bit random and chaotic in the way they think about things. And, I use tools. I've got Evernote as a tool I use, right, to capture photos or things that are in my mind that haven't got an organized, they're not organized as such, but I want to capture it just because there might be something here. And then I used to do is to like get the stuff done, and that allows me to have less chaos in there, but it's still chaotic, right?
Sure. And there's no right. What I love about this game, there's no right or wrong way.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
But it's weird. Like, I am structured as hell, and I love discipline, but I also really produce some of my best work out of like chaotic times where you're just running around like a fucking madman, getting shit done, and your energy's up. Yeah, and you feel alive and you feel buzzing, and there's different times and different places too.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, although we probably don't recognise at the time, at your lowest points or hardest points, you can be the most creative situations in the world.
We'll talk about that then, because I'd love to know. I love hearing about people's struggle more than their successes. I just relate to it more. So when you say the darkest, the hardest times, what's been like the hardest or darkest time for you?
Well, health scares and things aside, because I think they're, for everybody, they're just horrible times where you can't get out of your own head if you've got a family member or you've got your own struggles with your partner. But I think from giving a business example, I went through a period where we had a reasonably successful business, but we were running out of money. We couldn't get funding. We'd got venture capital funding. The venture capitalists were giving me an awful hard time. They'd made us... Well, we'd remortgaged the house 5 times, put it that way. And whilst the business was okay, it was going to run out of money. We were going to have to lay people off. It disturbed me an awful lot. We had about... This is going back a long time. But we had about 25 staff. I had to get it down to 18, so 7 people had to go. And they would become friends as well. Lay in bed one night thinking, well, one more time to remortgage the house and we're going to lose it. And I just thought... I've told this story before, but for weeks I lay in bed without sleeping. That's what it felt like. It couldn't have been that, but it felt like that. And I was really struggling. And I thought, Jesus, I was in IBM, Cushy, everything was fine. I've jumped out to this flipping thing, and maybe I can't do it. And I did think we'd lose the house, so we were at a dark point. And the business, it was weird because it was taking... I went to work, the kids were in bed. I came home, the kids were in bed. If they wanted to see Dad at the weekend, and this, I'm not happy to say it, but they saw me at the weekend if they came to the office with me. It was as bad as that. And if I could have my time again, I'd change that. But I lay there one day and Desi said, "You all right?" And I said, I was in bed. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. And I said, "I think I've fucked our life up for us. I really do. I think this... I've cocked it up for you." And she just said to me, "We'll live in a shoebox. As long as we've got each other and we've got our health, we'll live in a shoebox, crack on." And it was just a moment where I needed that little nudge of encouragement or whatever. And bit by bit, it wasn't an overnight thing, but bit by bit, I clawed my way back out of the dark place I was in, where I was starting to feel really sorry for myself and the family, and felt a bit of a failure.
Yeah, what a woman.
Yeah, she's unbelievable, yeah.
To have that, just when you needed it too. I think that would be that was my instant thought of like, shit, does this threaten your ability to be a good husband and a good dad? I'm like, because if you lose the house, they lose the house. It's on
that's
you.
it.
There's a lot of pressure there, right?
Oh yeah, it wasn't great times.
No,
but
you see,
that's what I think. I think anybody that says, "This is me," the Instagram stories, and you think, oh, geez, their life looks unbelievable compared with everybody else's. It's all bullshit, isn't it? It's a bullshit life. And anybody that's got any place where they've reached their contentment, not their success as in monetary, but their contentment, that they're happy, then they've got some scars as well. Sure. They've got some stories and some scars, and if they haven't, they're lying. Yeah,
that's why I'm interested to hear them, because what you've built now must taste so much sweeter now that you had that threat over you.
Yeah,
it's almost like you've really earned your stripes. That's how I see it. Anyway, anyone who's really successful, if you dig deeper, it's through a lot of pain, sacrifice, hard work, and they just haven't quit.
That's it.
Even though they've been close. One of the hardest things is always, like you mentioned, like if you had your time again, you probably wouldn't be at the office at the weekends. The hardest thing in any venture is to know when to quit.
Yeah.
In really anything, in any pursuit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to write a book now. I've been trying to write it for 5 years. It's fucking terrible. It's going terrible. I'm like, Alex, you might save yourself a world of pain. Just quit. Right? And then part of me thinks, but if I just keep going for another year, I might have it done and it might be good.
Yeah.
But I could spend 20 years doing that. It's so hard to know. Same as a relationship. It's like, when you're in a happy relationship, you're like, well, we've gave it 8 years. Do we give it 9?
Yeah.
It's hard. That's the hardest thing. I've never had an answer to this.
No, and I think there isn't necessarily an answer. I do. There's a book by a lady called Angela Duckworth called Grit.
I love that book.
It's great, isn't it?
Fucking love that book. I based a whole presentation off that book alone. I thought it was
brilliant,
superb.
Isn't it? Yeah. I've seen her present, right, and she's just phenomenal.
She's awesome.
Yeah, and I get her newsletter on a Sunday.
Everyone should read that book.
Yeah.
Seriously,
I agree.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant book. I read it and I highlight important bits, and I was just highlighting all of that, thinking this is fantastic.
You sound like me. I spoil her book for everybody else because I'm
highlighting it. Yeah, but the problem is I read those books and my instant thought is I'm never going to be able to write a book as good as that. That's my instant thought. So it's like you said earlier, though, you get this long-term goal of the book. At the end of the day, it comes down to the hour that you're going to sit and write every day.
Yeah.
And that's my attitude. Have you read War of Art by Stephen Pressfield?
No.
Brilliant. It's basically saying resistance will be there all the time. You sit down, you do the fucking work.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like it, you do it. If you're ill, you do
Yeah.
it. If you feel like it, you do it. If your missus is in your ear, you do it.
Yeah.
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 It's like, no. There's no compromise. You sit and you do the work. Unless you're about to drop dead of a heart attack or something, you do the work.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
I love that attitude.
Yeah.
It's a good book. It's worth it. In fact, I'll bring it in for you.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think, you know, with a thing like the book, and you think this is a never-ending thing. I think we've all got we all think that we've got imposter syndrome. I'll never be able to write something as good as that. But you only have to look at some of the stories that have gone out where somebody's script went round 1,000 times, it got rejected 900 and something times, and then
that's what I mean. The stories are out there.
The stories are all out there of that resilience and grit that you do need. I still think, though, for your own sanity, you know, if you sort of step back, I always talk about get up in your personal helicopter and look at all the things going on. You know, you can still celebrate all the things, and some things just have to be sacrificed in some way. And as long as you think, I've given this everything, I've got a timeline on it, I'm doing those things, then I don't think it's failure. I just think it's learning.
Sure. No,
you know, and I think, because some people were like, never ever give in about anything. No, I don't agree with it. I think there's certain things in your life that are, you know, that they're non-negotiables. I'm not giving in on being a good person or whatever. But there's certain things you've got to say, I'm going to give it to this period of time, and then I'm going to review it, and I might be pivoting, or I might be just spending my resources elsewhere.
I agree there.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got to know what you value and what you stand for as a man.
Yeah.
As a person.
Yeah.
Because when you know that, you don't back down on those things.
Yeah.
But then you can pull out of certain ventures, and you're right. It's not failure. It doesn't. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like that anyway. Because you always learn on the route on this. Like you say, these dark times that you've been through, it's a learning process. But it's interesting to look back, like how your life would have been if you'd have had that quit in you. Where would you? It's just crazy to think that one little decision, your life's completely different. You turn left out of this building instead of right. You live a different life.
Sliding
Can't
doors.
get my head around that. It's, it's frigging. It's absolutely insane. So what do you do now with this? Like, do you feel like you're here? Have you arrived, or are you like, no? What's next? What's next? What's next?
I'm still trying to figure out what, you know.
How old are you? Could you mind me asking?
56.
56.
I know I look less than that, but
you do, mate. Of course you do. Yeah, I'm gonna say I've got my membership here. I want to keep it. Are you still as hungry as you were when you were 26?
I suppose I'm hungry for different things. You know, I don't want to be in when Rant and Rave was in its pomp. You know, there was 120 people, and it was just too much on a daily basis, and a lot of it was fairly mundane stuff, dealing with people-related issues that weren't as uplifting as they could be, and they get you down, they drain the battery. Whereas today, I think I'm more intentional about where I want to spend my time, but I still put a good day in, you know.
Sure.
And this is a big project, but as I say, I've got a great team. Make Good Grow is a good project, but I've got a great team there. Building a house in Spain, so that's, you know, taking up a bit of resource. And nice. I've got a social supermarket, which is a social impact business based in London that I'm an investor advisor in. So bit by bit, I get involved in a lot of things. I do have a lot of contact with members here as well. You know, if I can help in any way, I'll always try and help. You know, just a bit of mentoring's too grand a word, but, you know, cup of coffee and a chat with somebody that might be in a bit of a fix, and I might say, do you know what, I'm a lot older than you and I've seen this before, I've experienced these knocks, and this is how I dealt with it. It might help, and I enjoy that as well. You know, I think that's a big responsibility when you're a little bit you know, further down your career path. So I spend a fair bit of time doing those things. I
think that's one of the most underused kind of like areas that people can tap into now. I've never understood why young lads don't look up to their elders and ask for more guidance.
Yeah.
So books are great, by the way. But I reckon, you know, if I said to you, Nigel, can I pick your brains on something? And you gave me 20 minutes of your time, a bit like you're doing now, which is the reason I reached out to you, because like you just know you're going to learn around certain people, right? And I'm always curious to learn.
Well, learn from each other, right?
Sure, yeah, but there's some people that have lived a longer life and they've achieved and accomplished things that you might want to achieve in your own. So it's just like, well, why wouldn't you go there? There's probably a bit of a blueprint. They might be able to help you avoid mistakes. And it's just good to be mentored and guided, especially as a man, because a lot of men just spend a lot of time on their own with no real positive influences around them.
They do. I mean, it's funny. I was having a natter with a friend. It was Simon, again, the one I referenced earlier, and he was saying that we've got this concept called movers and shakers, where I've recruited 40 people, and they're really good people who've been on a journey, and they've said, yeah, I'll have a cup of coffee with anybody in the building that wants to pick my brains. And it hasn't quite got off the ground, but in 23 I'm going to really give it a go with this, because it's that whole modern day guild type thing where we've got elders, we've got younger people. But Simon's point was definitely, no, but we all learn from each other. You know, there's such interesting people in and around that might be the very start of their journey, got fantastic ideas, thoughts, creativity, inventiveness. And they, yes, whilst they can learn from people who are perhaps further on the journey, the people further on the journey get a hell of a lot of stimulation out of sitting with somebody and hearing what the challenges of today and what the resources that are out there. So I want to try and do some of this stuff with movers and shakers. Currently a digital directory and nothing more, but we're going to start to run events and workshops where it doesn't feel like you're presenting and I'm assessing what you're presenting. It's much more, we're getting together. There's going to be a format to it. I need to create a bit of a format. But for me, that's like almost the magic of Mill Street right there. It's what's happening informally. I just want to make it slightly more structure around it, because it is happening. You know, I'll often say, I can help you, but there's another person who I know who can help you even more, I think, and sort of connecting them. And the team do a lot of that as well with people, you know, and whether it's a skill set you're after a graphic designer, bang, or you're after a bit of guidance because you're experiencing something for the first time, and somebody might have experienced it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you found that when you reach like a certain financial gain, you know, when your finances are sorted and you're covered and you feel comfortable, at least you know your bills are paid, do you feel like then's the best time where you can go, well, I can give back now?
Definitely.
Because I haven't got this, you know, I haven't got to worry about us as much. I can go out there a bit more.
Yeah, I think your motivation changes. You enter something, I suppose in a way it's a legacy phase. You think, well, if I was to fall off the perch, would I have done all the things that I think are good things? And, you know, the legacy phase is giving back a little bit, passing it forward in some way. And that doesn't have to be money all the time. You know, the traditional thought is, yeah, pass your money on. No, it's not just that. What about your time and your experience? And trying to create a bit more of that in and around Mill Street, something that we want to do. We're calling it Mill Street 2.0, just getting it, you know, up to the next level next year.
Yeah.
So I'm up for that. But
that's cool. It's
really important that people like yourself feel like I can get something out of it, and it's not just people looking at you. It's like, it's just a connection of people that are good, that in different situations you might be able to say, can I buy you a pint and just have a natter?
Well, I think it's good that you did this podcast. One thing I really noticed was you got back to me quickly, and you sounded really keen, which I guess I didn't know if I expected that, such a quick reply.
Right.
And the fact that you were like, you didn't just say, yeah, okay, you were like, it would be a pleasure to come on. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like, you actually sounded like you wanted to do it.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed it as well.
We haven't finished yet, mate.
Okay, good.
You can get you might need another coffee, yeah. I ain't even started asking the questions yet. Yeah,
no problem.
No, it's like I say, so I think it's good because you're clearly leading from the front, right? Which is that's what leadership is all about, I think.
Yeah. You know, there's days when you don't think you are, right? And there's days where you think you're being a moaning twat, to be honest. You just are, and then you take yourself off and you look at it and you think, I was a bit mean today, really, with the team. You got a bit of frustration, and this happens because we're human beings. I think if you course correct, go back and speak to somebody and go, you know, yesterday I probably didn't say it the right way. I feel a bit frustrated by X and Y and Z, but you know what? My intent, the impact I had wasn't fair. I think you're all right with that. People deal with that. Sure. You know what I mean? And that's my learning from Rant and Rave as well. You know, there's just days when I just wasn't a great leader, and other days where I think I did all right today.
Do you believe in balance? So maybe not from where you are now. If you look back and all the effort all the blood and all the hours and the sweat, the grit that you've put in, do you believe in balance, or do you believe you have to go all in on something to make it work?
It's I think that's a brilliant question. I don't know. All I can say to you is it doesn't have to take a lot to get something. But I definitely, if I could have my life again, would change it and have more balance.
You would?
There's no doubt.
I weren't expecting you to say that.
No, there's more doubt.
I love that.
There's no doubt from me.
That's so refreshing, because most people I speak to go, I don't have any regrets, you know, it's where I love that honesty of like, actually, I'll change it. So let's go straight on that. What would you change?
Well, I think I'd put more time into the family. You know, I think there was times when I say come home, the kids are in bed, go to work, the kids are in bed, and the weekends Dan would come to work with me and knock the ball against the wall, you know, until the next door office would complain about him. And Molly would write on the whiteboard, and that was her, you know, the treat of the weekend was going to McDonald's after I'd finished work. It was just not great. And I do regret that. You know, I think at the time I was so single-minded, and we were hanging on by our fingernails as well. So there's a sort of does motivate you, but you couldn't log on from home and do those things in those days. You had to go to work to access the technology, just if you see what I mean.
Sure.
And work was in Coventry, and I regret that. I do, definitely. You know, and I regret laying people off in the early days. That was horrific.
Okay, so you've got Mill Street doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have more time with your kids when they were little.
Yeah.
You'd pick that second one.
That's
a horrible question, isn't it?
Yeah, but I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I mean. This, you know, when we're talking about you should grow a business, Alex, you know, I'm like, but underneath it all, you're kind of telling me what's really important.
There's something, though, Alex, about the Pareto, isn't there? 80-20. I think 20% of the stuff you do has 80% of the impact. And if you can figure that out, you can have even more impact. But we just busy ourselves with all sorts of stuff that really isn't adding much value to the end product.
Yeah, no, I agree. Time wasting.
Faffing.
Yeah, faffing, being distracted.
I
work with a lot of guys now, and I think that there's two things, mainly health and fitness, but the second thing is their ability to concentrate. They're distracted. So Facebook, Instagram,
Big time.
Pornography, anything on the screen, TV, screen, laptops, those three. And they don't actually get much done.
No.
They're just spending time on there, scrolling through others, seeing what other people are doing.
Well, I mean, I'm as guilty sitting at home and I'm on Instagram and having a look at LinkedIn and I'm pissing around watching a film instead of just being in the room and in being there. And I think it's almost like in our DNA now. It's programmed into us, isn't it? It's really weird, that third screen. And you see people out. There was a lady that invented something which was when you go for a meal, the ability to hand over to the restaurant manager your phone, and it was kept, you know, where you could see it, but it was very much about, we're having a meal, so we're going to be in an airtight compartment of the family here. We're not going to be doing this scrolling and people, you know, disconnecting, which you see all of the time, don't you? And it's not just children.
It's quite sad, actually.
It's
quite sad. Yeah. I have to do things that are kind of like actively chill me out. So swimming, saunas, the gym, climb mountains, things that make me get off my phone, that are worth doing to get off my phone, or like say building something that's better than having your head in the screen.
Yeah.
I do find it hard, like you say, to watch I love films, but I can't believe my resistance to put my phone in another room.
I know.
I'm like, what do I think I'm going to miss out on?
Yeah, I know.
I can't.
Well, I
it's
think
frustrating.
I'm exactly the same.
I should know better, though. And that's probably worse, you know, when you know you should know better. You're like, what is it? There must be something going on up there that's like, say, a reward system for...
Oh, it's a reward. It's a dopamine thing.
The dopamine smash, right?
Yeah, it really is. It's a dopamine thing. Yeah, definitely. It's that little bit of reward for you, and there you go. It's like we might as well be mice.
I always get better at it, and then I find myself like a few months later, I'm like, I've got my phone again, I'm watching a film, why am I doing this? Yeah, it's frustrating.
I think the other bit, though, is self-compassion. Is like, I don't know, sometimes I used to be probably really bad at thinking, I've had a terrible week and I haven't done that and I haven't done that. And I've got into the stage now, give yourself a bit of self-compassion. Go for the thing. Yeah, you did that. We did those things. We got that done. Yeah, some things didn't go well, but, you know, we're human beings. And getting a bit of self-compassion in the mix of the drive towards the goals is, I think, important.
Where did that come from? Did you learn that, or is that just through maturity?
I think a bit of both. I think, you know, you read it and you think, yeah. And then maturity is... I think it comes with a little bit of that experience of, does it all matter that much?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Does it all matter that much?
I don't think it does. You know, there's that thing about...
These questions fuck me up, man. This like whole, you know, this whole like, why we, what do we do?
Somebody said to me, if you have a moment where you have an angry reaction to something, take 10 seconds, just put it in oil a little bit as the dial's going, right? Because sometimes you can go from 0 to 60 with your anger and your reaction. Boom. Put it in oil, right? Just to give yourself a bit of time. And then think, is this going to matter in 5 years' time? And if it's not, fucking don't even think about it.
That's the one thing I have not got even close to mastering yet.
Yeah.
I've changed my life for the better in so many areas, but that 0 to 60 has not budged one bit.
No.
I get a text that I don't like. Vroom!
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
And I even go through those questions and I still override it.
Still
with
do
my
it.
anger.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
It's the one thing. If I could transform anything in my life right now, it would be not to be so emotional.
Yeah.
I care too much sometimes about things.
It's a double-edged sword, though, because without your emotion, you wouldn't be this passionate person delivering good things as well. So it's the compassion of, I have got that in me, but it 80-90% of the time, it probably drives me forward and does good things. And then occasionally, I drop a bollock. I think there's that self-compassion of, and I want to manage it, and I want to get better at it, and I'm going to work on it, and it won't always be good. And when it's not good, I'm not going to kill myself for the next week because it wasn't. I'm going to try and make repairs quickly with it. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
I have inbuilt remorse where I think, I didn't handle that very well, and go home. And it doesn't happen that often, but when it happens, it used to happen a lot. And when it does happen, I try and repair it really quickly to say, sorry about that yesterday. That wasn't right. I'm still frustrated about this thing, but the way I came across didn't need that.
Yeah.
And, I think
it would have been nice to have been taught this at school,
Well, life
even
skills aren't taught, right?
No, it would have been.
It's all about academic. That's
Yeah.
a completely different topic, but that gets me exercised quite a bit. That whole thing about, are kids ready for the world? They're not ready for the world. They might have ticked some boxes on academic thing, but nothing else.
Yeah.
Rarely.
When I started this podcast, I thought, well, do you know what? There's so many great guys out there offering really good advice. I thought, I'm going to go the opposite route a little bit. I'm going to talk more about the struggles and what I find hard, and I'm so glad you've opened up to it, because people really relate to that stuff. So if I'm talking about my emotions that I don't get a good handle on them, I get a lot of messages from guys just saying, I'm really glad you said that, because I feel like that, but I don't feel like I can speak about it, especially in the area of relationships with men and women. Like the amount of guys that say, Alex, thanks for talking about your jealousy that you experience, because I'm fucking terrible with it too. So I thought, that's what I'm going to try and do on this podcast. I'm not going to pretend and sit here like I've got all my shit figured out. That's why I called it the better man, because I just think there's so much room to improve. I get the self-compassion thing. I'm not very good at that either. But I think it's nice to share some of the darker stuff. One, it's good for you, because if you hide it all the time and you pretend that you're this guy who's fucking legit and he's got all his shit together, so tiring and painful.
Well, I think vulnerability, transparency, but vulnerability is so courageous, And when you look at courage, people think it's just all the bravado bits, but courage comes from being understanding, being vulnerable enough to be able to put it out there. I think, especially with males.
1000%. I think courage to be in a relationship, because there's a lot that can go wrong in relationships, and the courage to speak what you truly believe versus what you think you should say. This is something I'm just starting to get a real grasp on. We've spoken about in the opposite podcast. Like, have you got the courage to say what you really believe? It's not saying it's right, it's not saying it's wrong, but what you really believe. Regardless of...
especially in the woke generation that we live in, it's really hard. I think the emasculation type challenge is, it's real, right? You just don't want to put your foot in it. You certainly don't want... We're not setting out to upset somebody, but you really have to sort of worry about it, but it's quite challenging, isn't it?
It is, especially like I say, like I want to be a man. I want to be I've got nothing wrong with saying I like old-fashioned tradition. I like it. I think it's good. I think decency and honour and respect. I think they're all traits that are slowly they're disintegrating for this equal opportunity thing. I don't believe in it.
No.
I don't think there's anything wrong with traditional marriage either. Like, if a woman wants to stay at home and for me, there's nothing better than raising a family. Like, because it's the one big hole in my life that's missing.
Got you.
So I know how important it is.
Yeah.
And there's so many cases now of women going into their 40s, 50s, successful in business, but they don't go home to anyone. They've got no kids.
Yeah.
And they've outright said, I'm lonely, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's clues there for all of us. You've even said it now. It's like those relationships are critical to living a healthy, happy, fulfilled life.
Well, I think when I was at my most challenged business wise, I had the sanctuary of a great relationship back home. There was never a day where I would return home and it would be, I've had these kids all day and now you can have them type of that sort of trade-off. That never happened. You know what I mean? And that was a wonderful thing because she's the hero behind the scenes, really. Do you know what I mean?
I know
she didn't
exactly
get the kudos. I got it.
But you both knew the score, right? Like,
yeah,
it's a team.
It's a team, big team thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and that would be classed as old-fashioned traditional values.
It was old-fashioned. Yeah, it
and I'm
was.
like, that sounds fucking amazing, man.
Yeah.
Bring back those days, man. I just think that's good.
Well, let people be what they want to be.
Yes.
You know. I think that's important, isn't it? You know.
It is.
And don't hold people back. You know, whether male or female, don't hold them back. They shouldn't be held back because of their gender or race or any of those things. You know, I am modern in that sense. I want the best for everybody who wants the best. You know, but if they want a certain role, who's to judge?
Yeah,
right?
but
Who's
me and you won't
judging?
get upset or offended by that. There's a lot of people that get upset or offended by other people's views and actions. I'm like, why? Just let people have their own values and views.
For sure.
And then
Big
we're all
time.
good.
Big
And then
time.
we're all good.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can believe what I want. You can believe what you want. Doesn't mean we have to fall out.
No, not
Do you know
at
what I
all.
mean? We could be friends and still
Yeah, yeah.
like have completely
different views.
Yeah, I don't get this thing of
No.
like, well, let's fall out. You don't agree with me? Fuck you. No, you ain't on
Well,
this
I won't
podcast.
fall out with you. You're slightly bigger than me, old kid.
Don't know. You got that age on your side. Remember, you got that experience. I'm sure you've been in a few scuffles doing business now. You ever done any combat sports?
No.
Would you like to?
I've always thought boxing is interesting.
Let's get you
Yeah,
boxing.
yeah, boxercise and all that sort of thing.
Not boxercise. No,
Not
no.
but proper
No.
boxing.
Yeah, not like we won't like throw you in it, but you should go and do some. I tell you, it's brilliant.
Do you know what I have found is when I've gone to any of those classes that involve a little bit of that, how worn out you get, how quickly worn out you get. Because you watch it on television and sometimes you think, come on, get your arms up. And, when you're in it yourself and you do 30 seconds of quick move, oh my goodness, how it gets you, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise getting in a ring now. Like if you look at my nose, for example, you see how it's slightly misdirected. It's going to the left, I think, or to the right. And these cauliflower ears, I've smashed my jaw up quite bad, broke my ribs, and I weren't even boxing at a good level. This was just playing. There's a phrase in boxing: we don't play boxing. I was playing it. I was getting hurt. Yeah,
right.
I think, like business, I think you get to a certain stage, Nigel, where you go, I'm either in and I'm in it, or this is time for me to.
For
like we
sure.
said, do you know what I mean? And boxing's one of them. I'm not prepared. I don't want to be a pro. I'm not prepared to get smashed up anymore. I couldn't eat my steak when I got home because I couldn't eat my jaw. But again, I really needed it at that time because I thought I was made of glass as a kid, and that proved to me actually you're a bit tougher than you think. When you have to survive, you often do. In life. It's the thought that you think you can't. That's what fucks you up.
Oh, yeah. Well, the game of life, sport, business, whatever you want to call it, is often played in 6-inch playground between two ears, isn't it?
Yeah, big time. So I never heard that. What book do you read that from?
Oh, honestly, I can't
true,
remember,
though.
but
If you get that right,
oh, God.
you're you're going places.
6 inches.
Yeah. But the physical training has been the best thing to help me train that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the
superpower.
simplest as well.
Superpower.
Yeah, so even for an uneducated guy like me, I can get in a gym and train.
Yeah.
And it has
Thresh
unbelievable
it out.
impact.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that anger that you've got, that I think all men have in them, it's within them. Like, there's something healthy I can do with it here. Instead of taking it out on my girlfriend, I can take it out in the gym. That kind of thing, until I resolve a healthier way to use this anger that's in me. All these are skills. And it's good to talk about them.
Yeah.
Big time. Because when we go back to, we were saying about, like, life is sometimes about, who you are and how you show up.
Yeah.
If you're not proud of who you are every day, if you put your head on the pillow at the end of the day and you've been nasty and cruel and jealous and resentful, you fucking don't like yourself.
No, that's right.
So you're going to bed with someone that you fucking hate.
Yeah.
And you've got to wake up with that guy as well.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, how do I get away from myself
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
I went to Iceland for 6 weeks, right? And I landed there, mate, and I thought, fucking hell, I come here to get away from it all. There's one thing I can't get away from. Myself. I was like, you fucking idiot. So, it's like, I thought things would be different if I moved my body into a different place. It's that shit in between your head still with you.
Of course it is.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. But sometimes, like, the product of your environment is you take yourself out of the current environment with its challenges just to sort of think in a slightly different way about things. Just that breathing space that you need sometimes can do you an awful lot of good. That's why people find holidays refreshing, because you go away and you have a great time, but actually, if there's a bit of time for reflection on there as well, you're just not in that mainstream challenge of day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do have aha moments, don't they? Or think, well, there's a few things here I can just change. It's having the one thing's thinking about doing the change. Another thing's just having the enough discipline and habit forming to go do it on a regular basis. That's why, fad dieting in January is a thing, right? Or going to the gym membership start in January and fall off in April. Is the people that I think I admire are the ones who've got they've formed a habit, they've got the discipline, they've built it into their life, and they probably haven't gone too extreme. Some people are like dead extreme, and then 2 weeks later you've met, oh no, that was no good, I couldn't do it. No shit.
Do you, in your intentional days and weeks then, do you have time where you just go, I'm just going to have half an hour to reflect on my week, how I've behaved?
Yeah,
You do?
I put it on Todoist.
Do you know what?
End of week review, everything. I'm a sado, right?
No, but, I got it wrong. I made some assumptions which I shouldn't have. Again, lesson learned, Alex. I thought Nigel was going to be busy as fuck, running around I didn't think that you would be into the self-development book reading, and again, don't know why, so I apologise if that's judgmental, but it is what it is. I certainly didn't think that you'd be there journaling almost at the end, so that's awesome. I love that.
I've got day one is the journal I use as well.
Okay.
So I do that every day.
Yeah.
I journal every day. Yeah.
Check this out. It's the better.
Oh right,
It's the Better Man journal.
Oh nice.
Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'll have to give one to you. See what you think, because I'm huge into journaling.
Yeah,
really
me
like
too.
it.
Yeah.
I like getting stuff out my head.
That's it.
Because it kills me otherwise. I torture myself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And also, I think when you're having a moment, just going back and going, like I talk about this personal helicopter, well, just get up and have a look at all things in your life. Is also, we'll go back to the journal a bit, because we lose ourselves quickly, and then you lose context. Going back and say, let me just look at the last month. Do you know what? Not too bad. Do you see what I mean? It can level you. It's a bit like some people I have helped in the past have said, I don't know how I'm going to get another job. I've only done this for the last 5 years. My CV is going to look ridiculous. I said, time out. Just spend the weekend writing a version of your CV, and I bet you'll be in a different frame of mind on Monday. And every single person I've ever said it to have come back, do you know what? I'm quite surprised with myself, how many projects I've been involved in, how many different companies I've worked with, some of the successes we've had. And it's been cathartic. It's the same with journaling, isn't it? You just have to, hold on a minute, get a grip. Don't let the monkey get hold of you.
No, you're so right. I even take that down to every day I write 5 wins.
Yeah.
So this will be one there'll be loads.
Yeah.
And then, when you sit there and you think your week's been a failure or you're a failure, you look at the evidence, actually, you go, no, I'm not.
This is it.
I've actually, it's big for us all in the Better Man. We have to collect these things because our brain's quite negative, isn't it? It tells us all the things that are wrong. Yeah. We have a look at all the things that we've done that we could do better.
Well, it's a survival brain, right?
Sure.
I mean, you've read all this.
Yeah,
the
we're
same
not here
as
to
I
thrive,
have.
are we? We're not to build businesses and shit.
No, we're still cavemen and cave people.
Yeah.
But we're wired for survival. We're worried about saber-toothed tigers.
Yeah.
And even though there's none of those knocking about, there's still a bloke that will cut you up in traffic, and that's the saber-toothed tiger.
Sure. So when people come and speak to you now, Nigel, do they come to you let's say friends or even people here? Do they want more business advice or life advice? What do you find?
Business advice in the main.
Okay.
But always they're connected. Always we end up talking about somebody's challenges that are a personal level. Always. They're just interwoven, and it's fascinating. And, as I say, I think it sort of takes it out of me a little bit emotionally as well, because I really want to help. And you can see people, and people go through a lot of suffering, don't they? And it's easy to say, look, you're probably learning the most right now, the way you're suffering, but it doesn't actually ease them much, does it? But invariably, their challenges are all professional and personal intertwined. That's what I've experienced.
Yeah, it's hard to separate them. Like I say, if my personal values are out of sync, it's going to affect business out of sync, vice versa.
100%.
So I get that. I think if I was going to spend an hour, if I had an hour of your time, I think I would speak business primarily, but I'm fascinated by what you've said about the personal stuff today too. And that's why I think you'd be a great teacher. That's what I mean about, I get the whole, you can learn from everyone, you can, but if I want to learn about business, I'm not going to some guy who hasn't built a business.
Yeah.
I'm coming to you.
Yeah. I do think there's some failings in, if you take some of the business support programs that are generally available, whether it's, the council have put them together, or they don't have enough good practitioners in them that can really, whites of the eyes, talk to you and help you. I've been given mentors over the years, and I've instantly they've lost credibility in my eyes, because I'm thinking, bloody hell, they're asking me all these tough questions, and fair enough, but they haven't been anywhere. They haven't done it. And I sort of believe they've got to have done some of that to be able to guide you. I know you can have a good coach that doesn't have to be, it's a soccer coach or whatever, doesn't have to have been a world-class footballer to coach a world-class football team, but I still think it's better if you have. And especially if you're in a mentoring role, I think it's that, I've been there. Yeah. God, I know how you're feeling. I feel your pain there, Alex, And when I had that pain, this is what I did. I felt this way, and I found that this helped. And sometimes there's some breadcrumbs of relief or guidance for them that they think, I haven't thought of it that way.
No, it's good. The one thing I always said, I promise I'd only teach what I really truly know and what I've been through.
Yeah.
Apart from that, no, I'm not going to pretend I know.
Yeah.
What else makes a good mentor in your opinion then? So someone who's lived that life, but if you were to mentor somebody who was maybe a startup, or just someone who wanted some more direction, maybe someone who's struggling, maybe a guy in their 30s struggling for a bit of direction, like we spoke about, what would a good mentor do to get the best out of them?
Well, I think a good mentor is somebody who's got loads of empathy. They've got enough emotional intelligence to try and put themselves in the shoes of the person, because it's all very well for them to present with some things and they go, okay, here's some ideas, etc. But I think really, truly, they've got to try and understand what's going on in their life, and their wheel of life is completely different to my wheel of life. We might be talking about career or business, but actually their wheel and our wheel, and trying to figure that bit out as well is what a good mentor, I think, does. They've got to be a good listener. Too many people are, 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them in that, in that proportion. I think there's too many like wafflers. I think a good mentor is a good listener, but then they're interjecting at appropriate time, and also somebody's fairly tough. I think you can have too much like strokey, you'll be all right, you'll be okay. And sometimes you got to say, okay, I understand where you are and I feel for you and I have experienced some of that, but you know what? Pull yourself together on this one. You've got to do that. That one's got to be done. That's non-negotiable. Come on. And, some people don't react very well to it, I've noticed, but other people are like, I want that. I needed that in my life. I needed somebody to say, come on, I get you on all this, but this bit, come on, fella, we're going to do this, aren't we? And yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying, by the way, I'm a good. I'd like to be a good mentor, but there's things where I think there are moments, and I think I should have stopped the train. There was a stop the train moment. Stop that train. No, I don't agree with you. That's rubbish. This is what I think, and see how they react. Because some people just want to tell their story, and that's it. And they're like, I'm done. But they haven't gone anywhere, but it's still on the same train track.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting you mentioned empathy and tough love. I think they can coexist very nicely.
Big time.
How much empathy is too much, and how much tough love's too much. There's a sweet spot in the middle.
Big time.
But you're right. Some people. Whenever I remember going to a guy for some. No, it was actually Lydia Hall. She said to me, sometimes people just want to spew, like you said. They just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And sometimes people want to solve their problem.
Yeah.
So a good mentor will find out which one. So
that's very, very insightful.
It's true, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And she was linking it to relationships. So if I'm with my girlfriend and she comes and she's spewing stuff to me, sometimes they just want to spew. But as a man, I'll try and fix everything. So she said, sometimes ask the question: do you just want me to listen to you right now, or would you like me to help you solve the problem?
Do you know what that is? I mean, I wish I'd learned that one 30 years ago, because as a parent, right, I think, Desi and I have different roles as a parent. She's the supportive, arm round the family, excuse me. We've got a problem. I'll help you solve the problem. And it was Molly that said to me a few times over the years, I just wanted you to be my dad and listen to me. That's all I wanted. I didn't want you to go into this big mode of solving the problem. Let's do this, let's do that, we can do this, read this, do. So I just wanted to be listened. And, it's only in the last 5 years I think I'm probably not even good at it anymore. It is really, really, that's insightful, that whole thing about, you just want to spew. or do you want some help with it?
Yeah, I never knew it either.
It's cathartic, isn't it? Getting it off your chest as well. There's no, just talking it through to somebody else and not.
Yeah. But I think we're problem solvers as men, and like you say, sometimes we forget. I think we can have too little empathy for people, and we try and get shit done and fix shit all the time. And then when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's a great question.
It really is.
If I know you just want to spew, I can listen then.
I can just
instead of thinking, well, do this, do that.
That's right.
That's my automatic
so
response.
right.
I know. I was like,
and I've had loads of meetings, Alex, where I've got that wrong. Even over the last 2 years of being in Mill Street, where I've realised they just wanted to get it off their chest. They didn't really want anything else. And I've gone in to do this, what I think, here's some ideas. And I can see them glazing over, almost like, I haven't finished telling you, mate. I just want to... I have had those.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and others where probably they think, I could have got more out of that session and didn't.
Yeah, I think what we're saying here is sometimes at the start of a conversation, maybe it's important to know what the intentions are. So if I'm sitting down with you and I say, Nigel, I want to leave here knowing what next steps to take versus, Nigel, I've got this problem, I'd really like to talk it through with you. They're two different conversations, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, big time.
But that's where, I think, though, this is where you've got to be true to you as well. You might want to help people solve problems. You might not want people spewing on you. Because you can only handle too much spewing.
Yeah.
I'm more of a, tell me what your problem is and I'm going to help you try and fix it.
Yeah.
This is what I mean about going back to saying what you truly believe and what you truly stand for.
Yeah.
It's not saying don't be empathetic, but we can at least direct people to say, well, this person's really good at listening. I'm good at solving shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to solve shit,
this is magic for me. I totally agree with you, and it's the penny's just dropped.
So you're a solver, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, now people know that listening.
Yeah, that's
Don't go to Nigel unless you want shit solving.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. I think that's great.
Yeah. That's really good. It's been a good session, this.
I've loved it. We'll wrap it up in a minute.
Yeah.
What I'd love to know is what's next for you. So do you still have a North Star?
Well, there's this thing of legacies, ongoing thing, right? Mill Street and Make Good Grow are legacy things that fall off the perch and people say, no, it endured, it's good. It Make Good Grow will go on for 25 years. That's what I hope. And Mill Street the same. So they're the North Star things. I think that you obviously look, your children, you want them to be happy and healthy. They're the things I think are big things, family-wise, my parents, those sorts of things. I don't have... And I do feel a little bit like, not lost, I'm not lost, but a little bit like, I always like a big, hairy achiever or something. And I haven't got that in my life. But then there's a little bit of me that, nor should you have one, you're 56, calm the hell down. Calm the hell, there's some of that as well.
I do know. I see it from both sides.
Yeah.
But you've got energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't take. You can sit there and troll all you want. You ain't taking that away from you.
No.
And that's what people will love that about you. It's like infectious.
Nice.
I'm fucking buzzing now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like you've got energy. It's like, why on earth would you?
Yeah.
Why on earth would you bottle that
Calm
up?
down.
But I get everything you've just said. It's family. You want to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
How old are your folks?
73. My mum is 74 and my dad's 76.
Cool. You spend much time with them?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, my mum's had some health scares some serious health problems this year, and that's been a tough year, but she's just come out of it, thank goodness. Last chemo was on Friday, and had a massive operation and lots of chemo before, and she's just done brilliantly, really brilliantly. So, looking forward to Christmas now, getting us all back together again. So those things become more prominent to you, I think.
Of course.
Yeah.
I made a promise 2 years ago. I said I'm going to take every Thursday off work. Again, another reason why I sacrificed the bigger business. So I'm going to see my mum and dad every Thursday.
Oh, fair play.
So we go for coffee, breakfast, lunch. Because I think I know what I'm going to regret in 20 years.
Yeah.
Will it be working that Thursday? I'm not seeing my mum and dad because we never had a brilliant relationship growing up.
Right.
So I thought that's a decision.
Good on you. Nice intentional decision.
I think so.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's just accepting the sacrifice that comes. Because part of me is still going, I should be working now.
Yeah.
Could be earning more
the
money.
Guilt and the,
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, and again, it takes away from that being present because you're with your mum and dad, but sometimes you think,
there's something...
There's work. There's work to be
done. No, I think I admire you. That's good.
Yeah, it's
really
hard.
Good. Yeah.
It's hard.
It is, but you're doing it.
Sure, man. Look, the easy path's boring.
Yeah.
The easy path's the easy path, and that's why most people say the easy path. The difficult path's the best path.
But what you strike me as is somebody that, does a lot of thinking and reading, the same as I do, and we've got this growth mindset, but you're also acting on stuff.
Yeah.
You're out there.
I am.
And there are a lot of people who are masquerading a little bit, talking about it. And you say, when did you last do that? And they sort of clam up. You know, you want people that like, oh no, I might be failing, but I'm bloody well out there having a go at it.
Yeah.
You know, they're the ones I admire.
I do practice or I at least try and practice what I preach. What I've got really much better at, Nigel, is at being honest with my faults.
Yeah.
Because I did, especially in my late 20s, I look back now and laugh. I pretended that I had the answers to everything. Like, if you do this, this, and this, you'll be fucking happy. And this, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, look back, I didn't know anything. Oh, there's loads. And I thought, well, what's going to differentiate me? The only thing that can make me different is for me to tell my truth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's 8 billion of us on this planet. So if you want to be unique, then you've got to go right back to the core of who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
Yeah.
Pretending to be anyone else is failure, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? So it's that kind of thing. But that's hard because you have to undo a lot of the conditioning.
Yes.
And you strike it
it's
back.
onion. You've got to get right to that.
Yeah, and then you ask horrible questions like, well, who am I actually? You know,
Yeah.
this society that's brought me up to be like this, or like, if it weren't for that, who would I be? You know, these values that have been put in me, if I take them away, what do I believe in?
Yeah.
And you have to work all that out.
Yeah.
And it goes right back to the very essence of the core beliefs of like just fucking human beings.
Modern day philosopher.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. Never been called a philosopher in my
Wow.
life. I love philosophy. I was looking at doing a philosophy and psychology course next year. Yeah. Just don't know what to do with it, that's all. And you get yourself in a bit of debt for those courses, you know.
Yeah.
20 G's, that is. I know, mate.
Blimey.
I'd rather just read books.
Yeah.
Be self-reliant.
I
It's
do.
more fun. Go to Starbucks.
Skip bits.
Yeah. Skip bits, yeah. Last question, if I may.
Yeah.
What do you think you need to work on now in order to become, as the company's called, a better man?
Well, I think every day when I get up, there's 3 G's in my life. Give something. So give not meaning money all the time. Sometimes it's that, but give a little bit more. Give your time. Grow. I always trying to grow and be grateful. So they're the 3 G's. And the growing is, being a better something. It could be have more patience, those sorts of things. It could be being a better parent or... and the grateful is try and understand that like there are loads of things to be grateful here, and sometimes we all lose that. So the 3 G's try to keep me on track a little bit through the day. And I always think there's a growing to be done, whether it's learning something or just growing, as I say, in a different way. And it could be your fitness, but...
Do you define, when you say things like be a better parent, do you define those? Because a lot of the guys I've worked with, they say, I want to be the best dad in the world. I'm like, what's the best dad look like? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah. And
I'm like, you're never going to hit a target that you don't know the standard to.
No.
So do you have things that go, this makes me what I define a good parent?
No, that's why in that sense, the grow is, it could be a marginal gain on something.
Yeah.
Rather than I've missed that target, because I do think there's this problem with the gap and the gain is there's always going to be a gap, because the gain is always the horizon, and the horizon moves according to where you are. If you're up a big mountain, the horizon looks differently to the bottom of the mountain. And so I think sometimes you can have big, hairy, achievable goals, which I do advocate for things like business, because they're there. But when you're talking about relationships or being the best dad and all those things, I think that's a painful thing, and you just want to be a better dad than you were yesterday. Just keep growing.
Definitely, yeah. But defining that's important, don't you think?
Yeah, defining it, but not defining it by way of a goal, because I think that's a losing battle. I think goals for turnover and sort of very obvious targets for business are brilliant, but when it's the other areas of the wheel of life, I think defining it like I want to be a great dad, but I'm going to be better every day is a really important thing. So for me, it's that growth, as in, well, I did some good things this week. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's behavioural.
It's behavioural.
So you might say, I'm turning my phone off at 7 p.m. tonight, and I'm going to give my daughters and sons the full attention they deserve. That's what would make me a good dad today.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely.
I can give you a big scary goal if you want one.
Yeah.
I'll come and do an hour of boxing. What are you laughing at?
Who's going to hit me?
Oh, no, you won't get hit.
I don't get hit.
Just pads.
Okay.
You up for it?
Yeah.
Is that a deal? You said this on air. So if you say, we're all
2024, right? Yeah. No.
Yeah. There's a place called Aces around here, actually, I think.
Is
Aces
there?
Gym, just down there, yeah. Guy called Harmy. I know a lot of the guys.
Oh, okay. I'm up for it.
You're up for it?
Yeah.
I think you'd enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
Learn how to throw a good punch. Take out your comfort zone.
No, I'd like to.
Deal.
Right.
Mate, thank you. One thing I really respect about you is your honesty on it. I think you've been brilliant.
Thanks, Alex. Same.
It's what I do now, mate.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Life's a bit easier when you stop fucking pretending.
Pretending, yeah. Take down the mask.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you. It was
a pleasure.
Brilliant to be in your company.
Yeah,
Learned
same.
a lot, and yeah, man, I look forward to this boxing session now.
All the best.
Cool, man.
Cheers, Alex.
Mate, thank you. That was brilliant.